Have you ever paused to ponder about the different political ideologies that govern our world today? Our journey begins with an introduction to the intriguing world of political thought and theory. This realm of intellect and philosophy is vast, with numerous schools of thought, each presenting its unique perspectives, principles, and critiques. Political ideologies are not just about governance or economic systems, they're the bedrock upon which societies are built. They reflect our values, guide our decisions, and shape our world. They influence everything from our social structures to our individual rights and freedoms, and even our interactions on the global stage. Consider liberalism, a school of thought that champions individual rights, democracy, rule of law, and free market economics. It's a philosophy that holds personal freedoms and limited government intervention in high regard. Then there's conservatism, a political ideology that seeks to preserve traditional institutions, values, and societal structures. Advocating for gradual change, it often supports a free market economy, individual responsibility, and limited government intervention. Schools of thought like socialism and communism push for a more equitable distribution of resources. While socialism advocates for collective or state ownership of the means of production, communism aims for a stateless, classless society where resources are shared equally among all individuals. Feminism, on the other hand, is concerned with gender equality and aims to address issues related to women's rights, social roles, and societal power structures that perpetuate gender-based inequalities. Anarchism advocates for the abolition of hierarchical systems such as the state, often in favor of voluntary associations and direct democracy. Then we have realism and constructivism, two schools of thought in international relations that emphasize power, self-interest, state sovereignty, and the influence of social norms and beliefs in shaping political outcomes. The best school of thought? It's subjective and depends on various cultural, historical, and societal factors. Different situations might call for different approaches. What works best in one scenario might not be suitable for another. Moreover, individuals often adopt a mix of ideas from various schools of thought, rather than adhering strictly to a single one. Let's dive deep into the nuances of these complex ideologies that have shaped our world. Liberalism and conservatism, two ideologies often presented as polar opposites, but are they really? Liberalism, a school of thought that has evolved over centuries, holds individual rights, democracy, rule of law, and free market economics at its core. It's an ideology that puts the individual at the center of its universe. Advocates of liberalism argue that personal freedoms, such as freedom of speech, religion, and the press, are the bedrock of a fair and just society. They believe in the power of the free market and limited government intervention, arguing that competition drives innovation and progress. Now let's shift our focus to conservatism. This ideology, rich in tradition and history, strives to preserve established institutions, values, and societal structures. Conservatives argue that these structures are time-tested and provide a stable foundation for society. They believe in gradual, measured change, wary of abrupt shifts that could potentially destabilize society. Like liberals, conservatives often support a free market economy and individual responsibility. However, they tend to place more emphasis on tradition, community, and moral order. So, what's the verdict? Are liberalism and conservatism truly polar opposites? Well, on the surface it may seem so. Liberalism, with its focus on individual freedoms and progress, appears to be at odds with conservatism's dedication to tradition and stability. But if we delve a little deeper, we can see some shared principles. Both value the individual's role in society and promote limited government intervention. Both also advocate for a free market economy, believing in the power of competition and individual responsibility. It's essential to remember that these ideologies are not rigid boxes but rather fluid spectrums. People can lean more liberal on some issues and more conservative on others. So, are they truly opposites, or simply different lenses through which to view our world? It's a question that perhaps doesn't have a definitive answer. It's up to each one of us to decide where we stand and what we believe in. After all, political ideologies are a personal journey, one that evolves and changes as we do. Now let's move to two ideologies that have often been confused: socialism and communism. In the political landscape, socialism stands as a theory that advocates for collective or state ownership of the means of production, distribution, and exchange. It's like a cooperative where the community has control over the resources. The primary goal of socialism is to reduce socioeconomic inequality by ensuring everyone has access to basic needs, such as healthcare, education, and housing. It's about lessening the gap between the rich and the poor, addressing wealth disparities, and promoting an equitable distribution of resources. Now let's turn our lens towards communism. Often misunderstood and sometimes feared, communism is a theoretical ideology that takes socialism a step further. It aims for a stateless, classless society where resources are shared equally among all individuals. No one is wealthier or poorer than anyone else, and everyone contributes to society according to their abilities. This ideology typically involves a revolutionary overthrow of capitalism to achieve its objectives. Communism envisions a world where there are no hierarchies, no state apparatus, and no private property. It dreams of a society where everyone has equal access to the fruits of their collective labor. It's a utopian vision, and while it has been attempted, the practical realization of this ideal has proven to be challenging in the real world. Despite their similarities, these ideologies have unique aspects that differentiate them. Socialism allows for individual ownership and capitalism to a certain extent, while communism seeks to abolish these entirely. Socialism can be implemented within a democratic framework, whereas communism typically involves a revolutionary process. So remember, while both socialism and communism strive for economic equality and public ownership of resources, they differ in their methods and the extent of their ambitions. Understanding these nuances is key to navigating the complex world of political ideologies. Despite their similarities, these ideologies have unique aspects that differentiate them. Scene script. Next, we step into the realms of feminism and anarchism, ideologies that question societal norms and structures. Let's first delve into feminism. Feminism, at its core, champions the cause of gender equality. It's not just about women's rights, but about ensuring a level playing field for all genders. Feminism questions and challenges the societal power structures that perpetuate gender-based inequalities. It seeks to address issues related to social roles, rights, and opportunities that have traditionally favored one gender over others. From suffrage movements to equal pay campaigns, feminism has been a driving force in reshaping societal norms and advocating for equal rights and justice. Now let's move on to anarchism. Anarchism is a political philosophy that advocates for the abolition of hierarchical systems, including the state. It's not about chaos or lawlessness as popularly misconstrued, but about voluntary associations and direct democracy. Anarchists envision a society where individuals are free from coercion or domination, and where decisions are made collectively rather than imposed from above. They question the necessity of certain societal structures and propose alternatives that promote autonomy and mutual aid. These ideologies, feminism and anarchism, challenge us to rethink our societal structures and norms. They push us to question the status quo and envision a world that's more equal, more fair, and more just. They remind us that societal norms are not set in stone but are constantly evolving and can be changed. They encourage us to imagine different ways of living and organizing, ways that might be more in tune with our shared values of equality, freedom, and justice. Next, we step into the realms of realism and constructivism, ideologies that take us into the world of international relations and global politics. Remember, the journey through these schools of thought is not about picking a winner or finding the perfect ideology. It's about appreciating the rich diversity of political thought and understanding how these ideas shape our world. These ideologies challenge us to rethink our societal structures and norms. Finally, we explore realism and constructivism, two schools of thought that shape our understanding of international relations. Realism places a spotlight on the raw elements of power, self-interest, and state sovereignty. It's a bit like a chess game, where states, much like players, strategize based on power dynamics and self-interest. They focus on maintaining their sovereignty and making moves that benefit their own positions. On the other hand, constructivism delves into the softer aspects of international relations. This school of thought places emphasis on how social norms, identities, and beliefs shape political outcomes. It's not just about the power that states wield, but how they perceive themselves and each other, and how these shared understandings influence their actions on the global stage. In essence, realism and constructivism provide us with different lenses to view the world. These theories provide us with different perspectives on how states interact on the global stage. So, which political thought and theory is the best? This is a question that's as complex as it is intriguing. The best school of thought isn't a one-size-fits-all answer. Instead, it's subjective, deeply intertwined with individual beliefs, values, and the context in which they are applied. Think of these theories as tools in a toolbox. A hammer might be perfect for driving in a nail, but it's not the best tool for tightening a bolt. Similarly, each political theory has its strengths and weaknesses depending on the situation. Liberalism might be the best fit for those who value individual rights and limited government intervention, while socialism might resonate with those who seek socio-economic equality. Realism might appeal to those who view power and self-interest as the main drivers of state behavior, while constructivism might strike a chord with those who believe that shared understandings shape political outcomes. The beauty of political thought and theory lies not in finding the best one, but in understanding how different ideologies shape our world in unique ways.